Hey, it's Sol, and today instead of news, updates, and analyses, I'm going to do a rough and silly summary of what's happened since 2004 when the World of Warcraft was released. World of Warcraft Legion is coming August 30th, and hopefully its story is going to make a little bit more sense than what you're about to see. Enjoy! World of Warcraft began a few years after this, during a time of strained relations between these hunchbacks and these pinkskins, when all of a sudden millions of people from all walks of life just showed up, specifically from these locations. People didn't know who or where they came from, but one thing was for sure, they wanted to help out anyone who was willing to give out loot or gold. These sociopaths went around and asked, and before Azeroth knew it, no boar, bear, nor bandit was safe from the onslaught of these adventurers, and the balance of power in Azeroth was going to shift and change drastically, almost too drastically, cause expansions. Throughout Azeroth were a bunch of bad guys that needed to get scratched off, but the regular folk didn't care to do anything about it. Meanwhile, the adventuring folk did a pretty good job of taking them out, sometimes for reasons, but mostly for loot. Black Dragon, dead. Trolls, dead. Elemental Lord of Fire sitting in an underground hot spring with a loofah, dead. More dragon, dead. Even when the world was invaded by dog statues and bugs, it only took 40 of these maniacs to break into their city and kill everything inside, including that. Then they took down the floating necropolis, floating above hostile territory because apparently it was a threat, but to this day the region itself is still in conflict. You'd think that after all these years there'd be much more stability than there is now. The end. But one day the big bad guys, the Burning Legion, reopened the Dark Portal, led by this idiot who should have set up real footholds and outposts, and not let his armies get wailed on. Demons poured through but didn't realize that there were a lot of DPS just waiting to kick their ass. The Horde and Alliance and their crazy adventures pushed them all the way back to Outland, but they didn't destroy the portal. They're still fighting them today. But the Horde and Alliance wanted to take out this guy named Illidan, and they told everyone he's a super bad guy and that everyone should be prepared. They should have been told he has loot, so the champions took out his lackeys instead first. Wizard Elf, dead. Medusa Lady, dead. So after killing all of them and going back in the time to save all of existence, yeah, that happened, the rebels from Outland laid siege to the Black Temple and, in a surprising act of diplomacy, killed everyone inside, including Illidan, the Chosen One, who was supposedly weakened and didn't even think to say, hey, maybe I should let myself be captured and then explain myself. Then we can join forces and stop the Burning Legion for nope, here's some diplomacy instead. So the champions took some warglaves and went home feeling like badasses, but hey, wait, Tempest Keep was only a setback. Elf guy was bad probably because someone left this portal intact. He went back to his homeland and restored this magic battery called the Sunwell, but more importantly let a bunch of demons guard it who all had loot to drop. So the forces of Azeroth came crashing down on him. Didn't matter how great the danger was, didn't matter that one of the masters of the Burning Legion was trying to break through, because he dropped a legendary bow. Or at least the hunters of Azeroth called it legendary. So the drug elves got their high back and the end credits rolled. Not long after this guy's alarm clock went off, he finally woke up. Remembering that his undead factory has been running for years now, he was pretty happy with what he had and decided to try taking over the world. Naturally, the Horde and Alliance made the call and our greedy adventurers with the fancy mounts answered. They went to Northrend, the seat of the Lich King's power, to the most remote locations on opposite sides. The Northrend campaign was ridiculous, probably because it was run by this nutcase Garrosh, the son of a different nutcase. Even the dragons, the most badass racists in the world, didn't give a flip about the Lich King, they just stood in their little gazebo to chat or discover Facebook or something. But hey, someone launched some WMD, oh not this time dude, everything's gonna burn! But this backdoor to the Lich King's house, nah, we'll just let it be. Meanwhile, the Lich King shows up everywhere like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, taunting people like he's edgy and clever. But he has his right hand Lich set up shop like here, and the view of the dragons like it's a big dumb middle finger, cause he knows the dragons don't give a hoot. There's not even the strategic value here, it's just like, hey, here we are, invade me! While the Lich King's house is ignored, cause, breaking doors is hard. Anyway, the Lich King's buddy did have loot, so he was killed, but did the campaign go north? Yeah, but not to Ice Cream Citadel, no. They went west for a thing called the Nexus War that was shorter than a battleground. Don't ask me what a battleground is. Then this Indiana Jones guy was like, hey, there's this ancient city with dark secrets and powerful beings, and you gotta help save the world. But the champions of Azeroth had a different thing in mind. Loot, 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 loot. So they went in and got a whole lot of loot. This guy was happy too, he celebrated for years. So what did this giant paladin named Tyrion and the Horde and Alliance do while they waited for the adventurers to save the world? Well duh, they had a party and had a tournament. Real productive guys. Anyway, during the tournament, the weekly Lich King dropped a bunch of people down a hole, but didn't think to cast Path of Frost on them before they landed for the GG. And don't nerd out saying the Lich King had to be in the party to cast Path of Frost, stop taking this so seriously. Anyway, no one really died, everyone was fine, and the Lich King was so mad that he opened the door to his house full of loot. So he definitely died, but not before the Horde and Alliance had a useless ship-on-ship fight when they could have bombed the crap out of the Frozen Throne, where the Lich King was anyway. An orc died again after a bunch of drama, giant paladin gets frozen like a punk, then he makes one of those ridiculous comebacks, but he was like, hey, get last hit and I'll pass on loot. But this guy ninjas a hat. Bad move, man. Here's Blizzard giving him a 7-year ban. It's not even perm because they know it'll mess with people's heads. And there was a purple dragon. The end. And then the world was torn apart just so Deathwing the Black Dragon can make an entrance. Dude, like, this is like the worst time to raise a kid, but if the world was supposed to be super damaged and all, how come there was more world all of a sudden? The war chief of the Horde was like, screw this, dude, I'm gonna grow some eyebrows and be Orc Jesus, and Garrosh was like, alright, and everyone else quietly said, no! And he called this awesome Banshee a bitch. Ooh, edgy. Deathwing promises that he's gonna destroy the world, so he flies around the middle of nowhere and lights things on fire. So while he's making glass, his lobies are making a mess too, including his undead kids and one of his mistresses, I guess. And then they died. Even the Fire Lord with a fancy new bathtub and loofah wasn't safe from the scavengers of Azeroth. Oh, by the way guys, hey, you know that red stuff? Yeah, that's not lava. That's the dragon aspects that came down from their dumb tower to finally help by telling people to go back in time to cause a bunch of time paradoxes that'll save the world. And there's loot. They used a big gold laser to shoot Deathwing out of the sky, who was just happily burning stuff. And for all we know, that would have been the end of the story if we just left him alone. But hit rating was still a thing in Cataclysm, and the chosen Orc only made a glancing blow. Azeroth's purple champions of greed were our only hope once again, because upon death, Deathwing's jaw opened up and dropped rideable dragons. End scene. In the end, all Deathwing did was give Azeroth daggers and a staff, and more lands for its people to kill itself over, including Pandaria, conveniently hid it away, and also devoid of an industrial revolution, except for beer. The Horde and Alliance must have noticed how all these adventurers have been getting rich with their fancy weapons and funny ways of travel. They too decided to throw down and loot and kill everything that moves, even at the cost of their own souls. The champions on the other hand took a sort of different route and decided to help make beer, train, and fix all the problems that the Horde and Alliance caused by doing a thing that they called dailies, and dude, they hated dailies. The big enemy in China was the Shah, a black oozy thing that people reasoned was an excuse to justify killing one another. But eventually everyone flocked to a place called Thunder Isle because they heard of weapons and stuff that were called Thunder Forge. Dude, that's badass. Who wouldn't want a thing that's called Thunderforge, Thunderforge Sword, Thunderforge Nutcracker? But people couldn't use their fancy mounts to fly in the Thunderdome. You can imagine the anarchy. People lost their minds and had a great time killing each other. And there was no guild over killing the last of some ancient troll nation. And hey, Thunderforge. But everyone was getting played by this guy named Rathian. He told the adventurers who to kill, and in exchange, Rathian gave them awesome loots. See, Rathian's got it figured out. He knows how this game is played. Anyway, Rathian along with everyone else wanted to take down Garrosh, but I don't know, man. He kind of grows on you. He seems to speak his mind and really tells it how it is. He's not politically correct, and you know, he gets me, man. But then he ate the beating heart of an old god, and things just got weird. But he built this crazy base under Orgrimmar in like no time at all. What the heck? Anyway, he gets his tail kicked by greed, of course, and no thanks to Thrall because of his eyebrows, and he's gonna get finished off until political correctness gets in the way, and this just kills it for me. Here's Thrall, who caused his whole mess by letting Garrosh get high on his daddy issues, and he's trying to finally solve the problem with his hydraulic press, but no, he's being stopped by King Justice over there and his bear buddy. Thrall definitely didn't want to be war chief again after this because he's noticing like, dude, these people are dysfunctional. I gotta get out of here, redo these eyebrows, and make babies. And after all this, Garrosh escapes to who knows where. Read the book. The end. Not too much later, tons of brown orcs start pouring through the dark portal. After this many years, no one thought, hey, let's bury the portal, or let's blow everything up around it so anyone who tries to get through will just fall into the ocean, or a magic pit of fire, or the red stuff, or a wall. So these mystery orcs are beaten, and just like before, the Horde and Alliance team up and push them back into the portal into God who knows where. And this time, they destroyed the portal, like, hello. Then what happened next? They won. They came back with tons of loot and souvenir ring, and no one important died, including him. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and sub, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay breezy, guys.